Here we go. Welcome back to Born Again Motoring. Today is a little unexpected. Car is the CX-50. Now I got this as a loaner because the CX-90, which I haven't even done a video on, is in the shop. Still got to do a video on that, but this is what I've got as a loaner, and I figured I would take the opportunity to drive it. Firstly, I think the CX-90 is a very handsome cross SUV deal. It competes with the RAV4 and the Forester. And I think out of all those, this one has the most personality, just from all angles, especially the front. I really like the front. This one is powered by a 2.4 liter turbo. Let's take a look at that and start it up. Nice little entry. Push start. Comes to life. Center gauge is digital, the rest are analog. Cool little touch. I like how Mazda does that. Let me pop the hood here. Nice little dampened hood. Now, I've only had a little bit of time to drive this, about 30 minutes, so I don't know very much fully. I mean, I don't have a week with this car, right? This is a short-term thing, but I wanted to make sure I got the chance to drive it. But yeah, here's the 2.4 liter, or I'm sorry, 2.5 liter turbo. You know, it's so far from what I can tell, it's nice. But yeah, this is it. Not much hardware, no hybrid. I know that the new hybrid CX-50 came out. But with this 2.5 turbo, we're dealing with 256 horsepower and 320 torque, just depending on your fuel usage. So if you use premium, that's where you get that number. And I think if you use 87, it's somewhere around 220 horsepower and 310 torque. I don't know. Don't quote me. This is not my vehicle, but a loaner. But I'm here to drive this and kind of give you my my feedback on it. So let's set off. So I think if you might have seen, I just changed the gauge. There's few options you can change to. So a faux kind of speedometer gauge, then the drive information, which is very limited. It only shows your average fuel economy, which this one has been averaging 22.5 mpg, which, you know, not the worst, but not the best for a daily driver. But this is an all-wheel drive turbo, and it's a loaner vehicle, so I assume the other drivers have been going pretty hard on it. As the saying is, drive it like you stole it, right? But we're not going to do that because we don't steal, and stealing is a sin. But yeah, the driver information is very basic. You know, I wish they would add a boost gauge. That's one thing I noticed that's missing here, is a boost gauge. Sure, that's more performance oriented, but I'm sure the people that buy this, even for the off-road capability, would like to see what their turbo is doing. But yeah, so you have a few options you can change it to. This is their iActive Sense deal in the middle, and then the speedometer, and then the drive information. I think this one looks the best for now. I like the nice digital speedometer. I'm a sucker for gauges. I like really cool gauges. And if I had to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, I give these gauges probably a 6. Again, we're missing some cool performance variants. I like a center tack, probably because that's more driver focused, but You know, they have one here on the left. I'm glad that they at least have a physical one. It's kind of cool. But yeah, then all over to the right, you have your fuel and your temp gauge. But yeah, in the center, even under information, you can't really change the information there. It's kind of how the CX-90 is. Mazda gives you the information they think they want you to have, and yeah, you're just gonna have to make peace with that. But yeah, so I'm gonna leave it on this gauge. Another cool feature is there's the My Drive mode, and it changes, you know, gets more aggressive with sport, and I'll go through those in a moment. So there's sport, normal, and off-road. I like how the off-road becomes a little bit more masculine. And so that's something I want to highlight on this car is it is more masculine than the other competitors in this segment. From the way it looks, and I think the way it feels, the steering's probably a little bit heavier, which I prefer. I like a more sporty steering. Even though this is, you know, not necessarily a sports car, but seating position feels good. And that's the spirit of Mazda, which I think Mazda does so well. And whatever car you're in, it's like their first thought is, how do we make it sporty? And the turn-in it's pretty direct. Again, the steering is heavier, just like in the CX-90, the steering is heavy. And these are cars that are supposed to be daily drivers for people, men and women. And so, which I think is an interesting approach for Mazda, because I could see how many people wouldn't like a heavier steering, but for me, I do. I just think it enhances the driving experience. But one thing I haven't talked about yet is the interior. Mazda's new interior designs for the last few years have been amazing, in my opinion. And this is like the CX-90 in a sense, where you get this kind of stitching that goes across in this brown, and these seats are this brown color, which I'm normally not a fan of brown, but again, this masculine, rugged kind of look and feel, I think, fits this car with this zircon sand metallic color. Now, would I get it like this? Probably not, but I appreciate it and I respect it. I think it does a good job of what it's trying to accomplish. You know, this baseball glove color leather is actually gorgeous, and it's a good package. Kind of feel like I'm sitting in a forest, you know, a green tree with the brown trunk, but it works for this. I'm digging it. NVH, it's okay. I probably need to drive this a little bit more, especially on the freeway. But its suspension seems to be very compliant. Again, it has somewhat of a sport feel. I can't knock it. I mean, from a daily driving perspective, I could see how somebody could be very happy with this car. Again, these materials are premium, and this is the premium trim. So I have the heated and cooled seats. I have all the features, the wireless Apple CarPlay, that's a touch screen. It has a panoramic roof. So it checks a lot of boxes. But let me put it in sport mode. Let's start getting ready to get on it here. Now that I have a good road. See how the acceleration is on wet, especially with it all-wheel drive. Okay, it's nice. Getting 256 horsepower. I think, you know, I don't know what type of gas they put on it, so I may not have all the horsepower, but let's see how it does on this bend here. Very nice. Very nice. Lots of confidence. Very little roll there. Yeah, I had lots of confidence in this turn. Let's see, this one's a little bit sharper, so let's see how I feel. Great. Yeah, this is good. And this is a front biased all-wheel drive system because of the Sky Active architecture that this is built off of. But yeah, no problem. And there was a wet road. I had no slippage. All-wheel drive digs. I'm a fan. I think it's so far it's been a great little drive. Let me hit this bend here. Yeah, that's the thing about modern cars now, though. Like, we've come such a long way. You know, back in the old day, you look at these, you watch old cars, or if you've driven some of the old cars, old Cadillacs, like the steering wheel's like way off centered. It's like diagonal, and you're like bumping around everywhere, and you know, you're trying to find your place. It's like a plunger in a wet boot or something. Like you're trying to figure it out. But like now everything drives straight, and then it's just how much better will it drive straight, and each car offers a better level of driving straight. It's crazy. Probably not a good analogy, but I don't know. But the drive is great. Yeah, I'm having a good time here. Again, I would like to try the hybrid one, but I think it's a very compliant ride. Again, this is the 2024 model, so I know prior to this, maybe there was some issues with the handling, I think, or the suspension. I think Mazda has tuned that a little bit, listening to feedback. So this is a refreshed model of the CX-50, but from my perspective, it's a wonderful drive. I feel like I'm in a sports car, actually. Like the way I'm sitting and the way this is handling, this drives like a sports car from the 90s. Like I don't know the exact weight figure. I could probably grab it. I would bet it's relatively heavy, at least 4 grand plus, right? Because this has towing capacity to some degree too. But it's a nice place to be. And it uses a standard automatic transmission, so not a CVT like some of the competitors where everybody's moving to these CVT transmissions, and I just don't agree with it. Let me stop. There's just a little bit of a grade here and just do a quick pull if I can. Here we go. Wow, very, very nice for what it is, right? I would say that this drives like, it's reminiscent. So years ago, I would say back in 2007, I drove a Mazda Speed 6 off of the dealer floor. I was doing some test drives, and I drove a Speed 6, and this acceleration kind of feels like that, which is interesting. And that was also a front biased all-wheel drive system, and Mazda has definitely improved in technology and fit and finish since then. But this acceleration reminds me of that. I mean, it's not gonna knock your socks off, but it definitely holds its own. So yeah, you got the different drive modes. I haven't tried off-road. I mean, there's nowhere really for me to try it right now. I like the gauge. Again, it's that aggressive look. I'm all for it. I'm a sucker for gauges, and I like that they do that. I wish they would just do a little bit more, especially when you have digital screens now. There's so much more you can do, but I'm not going to make it all about that. Hey, look at these. Are these vultures? What's that? Green? I don't know. Some foul bird, but yeah, this is a great ride. I don't know how long I'm going to have this. The CX-90 is in the shop. It might come out today. It could come out a little bit later. I'll do a video on that once I get it back. But wanted to kind of just drive and show you all the haps. I give this definitely give it a thumbs up. I stand behind Mazda and what they're about, because they'll take risks that other manufacturers won't. Like, and that's why they produced the rotary engine for as long as they did. Nobody else wanted that smoke, but they sure did. And you know, it had poor reputation and not the best sales, but Mazda still stood by it for years until they couldn't hold on any longer, and now they're trying to bring it back. And with this, it's kind of something similar, where it's more driver focused, not necessarily comfort focused like its competitors. And they'll hold on to that, and they have their own market, but they also have a little bit more upscale interior. Now, obvious plastics and things here, and I'm sure the base trim is nowhere near as nice, but it's a good place to be. It really is. All these cars now are a good place to be. So that's it. Thanks for joining me today. Short little video. God bless you and your family.